Good evening from the Rhineland, and it's here that our Matchday 12 coverage continues on ESPN, whereas Bayer Leverkusen will be glad to see the back of this season's Champions League. Inter Milan are desperate to prolong their interest in the competition. Hello from me, Derek Ray. Inter need a victory to be absolutely sure of a place in the last eight. Anything less, Eddie Mighton, and they run the strong risk of being pipped at the post by Newcastle United.
Well, indeed, Derek, here we go, the final matches of Group A. And when you look at the group, the arithmetic is rather straightforward. Barcelona in the hat for the quarterfinals as the group winners. Leverkusen will finish bottom of the group. So the real interest lies between the fight for second place. Inter Milan at the moment hold pole position with that 1 point advantage. And all they need to do is equal or better Newcastle's result. However, if Inter should lose and Newcastle get a draw, they'll finish equal on points, but Inter hold all the tiebreakers, having taken more points off Newcastle in the head-to-head, Derek.
And we'll keep a watchful eye on the Newcastle United-Barcelona match. It's been an abysmal campaign for Leverkusen. They've sacrificed the Champions League and are focusing, of course, on survival in the Bundesliga. Inter, well, Hernan Crespo has failed the late fitness test, and of course Vieri and Recoba are suspended.
Well, in truth, Leverkusen, talking the presses, they've lost interest in the competition, and we're glad to see the back of it. But for Inter, they have to win, and they come into the game with a shortage of strikers. Crespo couldn't make it without the suspended Vieri, and a long list of strikers not there. It's going to be a difficult ask for the Inter to win this match.
So the pressure on Inter Milan, no doubt about that. They'll have to do it without Hernan Crespo tonight. Plenty more to talk about. Rejoin us after the break.
We've been right for minus 8.
Don't miss great racing action from all over the world every week on Motorsport Asia.
You can't stop congratulating us.
I'm hearing all about that, and I love Liverpool fans. Believe me, I do.
You're doing a great job.
America is not set up for producing players and pushing them through a system.
Your comments are always fantastic.
I thought you were a traditional steady. How could you tamper with the rules like that?
The ideal combination.
Hey, it's live television. What are we supposed to do?
Press Pass, every Friday on ESPN.
To the Bayer Arena here in Leverkusen. Inter Milan know full well it's a big night for them. With a win here, they'll be in the last eight, without any shadow of a doubt. Anything less than a win, and Newcastle United may well be involved in the equation. Inter have gone off the boil a bit in the last few Champions League matches. Actually picked up only 2 points from their last 3 games in this competition, and they're anxious to put things right here against Bayer Leverkusen with a miserable record. Leverkusen without a single point to the name in the second group stage. And one wonders, Eddie, just what frame of mind the home side will have here tonight.
I'll tell you, it'll be mixed emotions, though, because a year ago, this Leverkusen side was on their way to the final, and with the support of the crowd, I think one thing the players would like to do is give them something to shout about in this competition and go out in a bang. The effort will be there, I think the willingness will be there. And it all depends, for me, Derek, on how Inter Milan set their stall out and approach the game.
And it's exactly 308 days since Bayer Leverkusen took part in the Champions League final at Hampden Park in Glasgow. Creditable effort, going down 2-1 to Real Madrid. But what a different story this season, both domestically and on the Champions League front. It's a perfect night for football, I can tell you. Inter Milan hoping that they can secure the 3 points and as a result secure a place in the quarter-finals. The draw to be made on Friday. This game is a sellout, crowd of 22,500. Just over 1,000 have made the journey from Italy. So to the team news, Joan and Dimitar Berbatov are the latest Bayer Leverkusen casualties, so Thomas Hörster shuffles his pack again. Diego Placente returned from injury, with the Nigerian Pascal Ojigwe switching to right back.
You can see that he stuffed the midfield, Derek, with Czech international Simic, young German international there, Bierhofer, and França as the lone striker. So the midfield's congested, and they'll keep it tight against Inter, looking to maybe break them on the counter.
With Christian Vieri and Alvaro Recoba suspended, plus the news that Hernan Crespo has failed the late fitness test, Hector Cooper is forced to piece together a makeshift attack comprising Domenico Morfeo and the 18-year-old Nigerian Martins Obafemi.
Well, that's what it is. Inter usually got star quality at the top half of the pitch, but it's unproven strike force there with Martins and Morfeo. And certainly when you look at the bench, he doesn't have the one thing that Inter need, a goal scorer, a recognised one out there.
A lively atmosphere inside the grounds, and the referee is the Russian Valentin Ivanov, 41-year-old physical education teacher from Moscow. He was last here back in October of 2001 when Leverkusen went down 4-2 to the French side Olympique Lyonnais. Emre, the Turkish international, included by Hector Cooper tonight, a man who spent 5 seasons on the books of Galatasaray. Bags of European experience from his days there. And so the match begins. It's the last hurrah for Bayer Leverkusen. It's been a dismal Champions League campaign for them, certainly in comparison to last season. Things haven't gone to plan in the second group stage. So they have a new coach in Thomas Hörster, replaced Klaus Toppmöller just a few weeks ago. Nothing really at stake for them tonight, nothing much for them to play for, but everything for Inter Milan to play for. Thomas Kleine is the man playing at centre-back for Bayer Leverkusen. Certainly back to Jörg Butt. And Butt's another player who's experienced a form dip this season. Former Hamburg goalkeeper. And his opposite number, Francesco Toldo. The youngster, Martins. He's only 18 and playing up alongside Morfeo tonight. And early pressure here from Inter Milan. And a bright start to the match. Sergio Conceição having a go. The Portuguese international, and Leverkusen on the back foot immediately, Eddie.
Well, perhaps you're going to see an uncharacteristic performance from an Italian side away from home, Derek. Inter know what's at stake today. And this strike from Conceição signals their intentions. He's whistled in the shot as quickly as he could get it off. And maybe today you see a different side of Italian football, with Inter on the out-and-out attack.
They can't afford to take any chances, any liberties over the Newcastle United result. They're playing Barcelona at St James's Park. Remember, if Newcastle win and this match ends in a draw or in defeat for Inter, then Newcastle would qualify in second place from Group A. Pascal Ojigwe just drawn out of position, and Leverkusen desperate to get bodies back. Yildiray Bastiuk's there, just in front of the defence. Carsten Ramelow has come in for fierce criticism of late, the German international, after several below-par performances, followed by Ivan Ramiro Cordoba, the Colombian. Turned out to play by Radoslav Kaluzny, the Polish international, recent signing from Energi Cottbus. Morfeo. And Sergio Conceição, such an inventive player on the right. And Kleine takes no chances. Inter Milan have the first corner. We look at Thomas Hörster, the former coach of Bayer Leverkusen's amateur team, thrust into the spotlight following the dismissal of Klaus Toppmöller. And they're linking up with Sergio Conceição, and the flashing header from Martins. Well, it's all Inter Milan right at the start here.
Well, the one thing you've noticed about young Martins is that he's a lively customer up front, Derek. Out-and-out, pure athlete, very quick, strong. And you saw the ability to leap there and latch onto Conceição's ball in. Morfeo's just going to tuck in behind him and provide the link between the midfield and young Martins up front.
joined us late. No Vieri, no Recoba for Inter, they're both suspended. Hernan Crespo had hoped to play, but he failed a late fitness test. I think it goes to Bayer Leverkusen this time. Yildiray Bastürk to take it. Star for Turkey at last year's World Cup. Carsten Ramelow. Sliding to pass instead of shooting. And Inter now on the back foot. Francesco Coco just sliding into the centre to thwart Leverkusen. Bastürk. And Sergio Conceição and Okan, the Turkish international, his fellow Turk, for company. All comes to nothing. And it's been an open start to the match, Eddie.
Well, I said in the opening, Derek, I think the Leverkusen players deep down believe they owe it to the fans to put on a display today. Certainly I don't feel, looking at the way they started the match, that they're going to sit back. There was a gap in the Inter defence. And you can see, I think it was Bastürk maybe who got in each other's way.
Jan Šimak was the player at the tail end of the move who tried to continue his run, perhaps latch onto the ball. Coco on the left, and got caught by Pascal Ojigwe. Versatile player Ojigwe, and used as a right back tonight. Had to undergo a knee operation earlier this season. Daniel Birovka. Top scorer for Bayer in the Bundesliga with 5 goals this season from midfield. The big story as far as Inter Milan are concerned, striker shortage. And they're depending on the youngster Martins as well as Domenico Morfeo, as Eddie said, playing in a slightly withdrawn role.
And somehow they've got to draw Leverkusen out from a deep defensive position. See how deep Leverkusen defended. Inter somehow have to draw them out to find a way to get behind them.
And the challenge was clean from Francesco Coco. He's very comfortable going forward, attacking from the left-hand side. Trying to draw it back and does so perfectly. Morfeo's in and Martins! Oh, what a moment it would have been for the 18-year-old Nigerian. The Leverkusen defence at 6s and 7s, and this was some run by Coco.
Well, he's brought the defence down, Coco. That nutmeg there on Ojigwe sets the defence on its heels, and it's Morfeo who really dilly-dallies in the box. He's not sure what to do with it here, and when it breaks for Martins, he wouldn't have expected it to come to him, and he had to snap the shot. Had it been on target, the goalkeeper for me, Jorgbut, was rooted to the spot. But you don't really blame him for that one, because you wouldn't have expected Morfeo's ball to come to him.
And a touch of climbing by Fabio Cannavaro, sporting the new hairstyle tonight. And a good lively start to the match. No complaints on that front. Tomas Berdaric. Tapped into a rich vein of form at the tail end of last season for Bayer Leverkusen. Hector Cooper, the man in charge of Inter Milan, has of course guided Valencia to the quarter-final stage twice.
It's all about trying to ease the pressure if you're Inter Milan, and Hector Cooper is demanding a lot out of them, as he always does. Because if they can strike first, Derek, then that pressure seeps away and they can go on and play their football and really put Leverkusen to the sword.
Coco, Berdaric trying to win it back. Emre almost getting tangled up.
See, Leverkusen won't be drawn out unnecessarily. 1 striker, 5 in midfield, flat 4 at the back. And it's up to Inter to either break them down, as Coco did, and find a way to bring Leverkusen forward.
And the lone striker for Bayer is França, the Brazilian. 26-year-old former Sao Paulo player who's had such a difficult time adjusting to life here in Germany, both on and off the park. Kaluzny playing at the back, forceful presence there now. Ojigwe, there's Berdaric. And to break the shackles of Francesco Coco. All the pressure tonight is on Inter Milan. And one wonders, will that free up Bayer Leverkusen to finally produce the goods in the Champions League after so many disappointing displays? Malushny. Forward by Carsten Ramelow. Ramelow, who turns 29 tomorrow. Malushny for Bayer Leverkusen. Here's Ramelow.
So the pressure will come high and early from Inter Milan, looking to nick the ball off Leverkusen in the areas that really matter. They're not going to sit back, the Italians, tonight.
A disappointment for German football last night, of course. Borussia Dortmund eliminated despite winning 1-0 against the other big Milan side at the San Siro. First time in 19 years. No German representation at the quarter-final stage of European club competition. Forward by Diego Placente, the Argentinian. He's back from injury. Bastuak. Birovka supporting on the left. Here's Ramelow. Ojigwe. It's all very methodical and organised from Inter at the back, but Coco gives that away. It's anything but methodical. And France's in there, deciding that it's worth a go. Hasn't looked very confident wearing the colours of Bayer Leverkusen. It does take time. The change in culture can often be very difficult for Brazilian players. New language to deal with and a very different way of looking at the game of football.
It's not exactly samba conditions at most times in Germany either, but one thing I've noticed, Inter look very jittery at the back.
Birovka trying to take full advantage for Bayer Leverkusen. Good work by Birovka. Trying to fizz in the cross-come shot. 0-0 here at the Bayer Arena. Don't forget, those of you watching in Latin America, we've got Sports Centre coming up next, coming up after we're finished. All the goals from this round of action in the UEFA Champions League and more. That's Sports Centre later on.
Say what you want about the problems of Leverkusen, it's a marvellous atmosphere here tonight. The home supporters are firmly behind their side, just relishing the prospect of one more European night.
And Rainer Kallmund, the managing director of the club, was saying at the press conference yesterday, yes, it would be nice to take something from a match against Inter, but to look at Rainer Kallmund, more important is the six-pointer, the match against Kaiserslautern, coming up this weekend. Fellow stragglers in the Bundesliga. Udi Fuller, of course, the coach of Germany, alongside Rainer Kallmund, and there's Ulf Kirsten on the other side. The striker who's available for emergency situations this season. He's actually been under the weather of late. Placente for Bayer Leverkusen. Drives on going forward as the Argentinian. França in the centre. The lone striker, as Eddie said earlier on, they've packed the midfield. Now the pace of Martins proving useful for Inter Milan. The young man from Nigeria. It was great work. Nobody to latch onto it.
There you go. There's a first glimpse of what Martins is all about. There's an absolute express train out there. And if you can play him a ball in the clear, I'll tell you what, I don't think there's a player out there for Leverkusen who can stay with him.
Schimak delivering it to Daniel Birovka. Signed in 1860 at the start of the season. All along the ground, no problems for Francesco Toldo. Good pace and rhythm to the match here, Eddie.
Yeah, lovely contest, Eric. It's a lot of interest being shown by Leverkusen. It does take two to make a match, and the Leverkusen players are playing their part. Inter, of course, we know, are very focused in it. And the third player out there making the match is the fans. That's the lad they want to spring. You see when Leverkusen pull up, and he realises he's got room behind him, and if they slot him in, nobody's going to catch Martins.
This is Bastürk. Birovka. Vicente. Clever play up there on the flank. Birovka continues his run, and Franco's in the centre. And charged down. Now Berdaritz. A fresh air shot by Thomas Berdaritz. The danger's not over. Karsten Ramelow blooms his shot over the top. A good spell of pressure exerted by Bayer Leverkusen.
Nobody defended. Watch the three defenders there. And once they're backing off, Franson nicks in. Suspicion of handball there. Certainly Inter had a claim. Franson with the first attempt. And a strike coming in from Berdaritz. Missed it cleanly. And Ramelow high and over. But I've watched it into defence, and that perhaps has to be the strength of their team tonight. And they've looked very jittery.
There's no real problems at the back for Inter Milan. Question marks are all up front.
See, the problem comes in for Inter at the back. They don't want to make a mistake, of course.
Here's Martins. An express train nipping into the box, but Thomas Kleine with the clean challenge. A corner it is to Inter Milan, and it's going to be very interesting watching this young man go about his business.
He's electric, isn't he? He ignites the crowd when he sets off on one of his runs, and that was a perfectly timed tackle.
When it comes, and danger for Leverkusen. Somehow they survive. There's Placente. And watched by Javier Zanetti. Argentinian right back for Inter Milan. So many seasoned campaigners in the Inter squad. What's this youngster? Martins, a real box of tricks. And it's Martins! And out comes Jörg Boots. Oh, narrowing the angle. And we've seen a lot of Martins in the opening 16 minutes.
Look how he's got across the defender there. Kleiner spun him there. And when he gets the return, the goalkeeper's done ever so well to close the gap down. You said there was a striker shortage at Inter Milan. This lad is lighting it up.
And he's clearly enjoying himself out there. And offside. Sergio Conceição tried to make the run.
Just a chance to play, I feel, for the Nigerian. Martins up front, and he's absolutely torching the player defence at the minute. Real chance, wasn't it? Once he got the ball back from Morfeo, clever back heel. Look at the goalkeeper, Books. He stands up, more importantly, narrowed the angle. That's top-class goalkeeping.
Bastürk, or Bayer Leverkusen. Placente. On a night of drama in store. It's match day 12 in the Champions League, and Inter know that they can control their own destiny. If they win here, the issue is settled. If they fail to win, they run the risk of letting Newcastle United back in. 0-0 is the score at St James's Park, by the way. Newcastle-Barcelona match.
Real difference in the matches at the moment. França is a man that Leverkusen can't find, and he's not really troubled the Inter defence. The trouble for Inter has come from Leverkusen's midfield. But Inter have a real threat up front, and any time they get stuck, they can just send the ball through and release Martins. Explosive, to say the least.
His full name, Akinwunmi Martins Obafemi.
I'll stick with Martins.
I think, yes, we all will. His third appearance in European club competition. Free kick will go in favour of Coco. Inter have suffered just one defeat in their last 6 visits here to Germany, and that was away to Schalke in the 1996-97 UEFA Cup final. Offside again. It's been a bit of a problem for Sergio Conceição. Well, it looks as though a substitution is in the offing here. That's Cristiano Zanetti, who's going to make his way onto the park. And Okan is labouring. Okan, the Turkish international, former Galatasaray player, will end up being a straight swap. Zanetti, a man who can provide plenty of fight and drive in the centre of midfield. But injury putting paid to Okan's hopes of continuing. A bit of snap and bite shown by Bastuak. And it falls to Berdaric. Ojigwe supporting. Plenty of blue shirts back there. And a shove by Pascal Ojigwe. Any thoughts on the substitution, Eddie?
Well, obviously he's come into the game. Okan carrying that injury. I think ahead to Cooper realising the magnitude of the match, wanted him to give it a go. It lasted almost 20 minutes and wasn't proving to be an effective position for him. So he's made a sub, and it's not a bad substitution for him.
Cristiano Zanetti has come on for Okan because of injury going off. Engrossing stuff here on match day 12. Leverkusen 0, Inter 0. Similar story at St James's Park. Newcastle United 0, Barcelona 0.
Inter have been relatively patient, Derek, but when they've had opportunities to try and thread it through and slice Leverkusen, they haven't messed around. They've played the ball forward. They've got a nice balance of keeping possession, but being purposeful when they get it. Looking for goals, of course.
Romero's foul on Cristiano Zanetti, the substitute. And it's offside once more. It's the fourth offside decision against Inter Milan in the opening 20 minutes.
Inter will like to see that, in truth. And that will mean that Leverkusen are pushing up, playing higher and giving them a chance to get behind with the pace they've got. They've been caught one or two times offside, particularly Conceição, but they won't mind that.
You wouldn't know this was a meaningless match as far as Leverkusen are concerned. Fans and the 22,000 crowd getting right behind the home side.
Well, they don't forget, Derek, as you said, almost a year ago, these fans were taken by this competition. It was a dream season for them, so they don't forget their feelings and the romance this competition holds for them.
One or two people laughed at Rainer Kallmund, the managing director of Leverkusen, when at the end of last season he said, I'd be happy finishing second in 3 competitions every season from now on. So I can tell you, no one's laughing at that statement now, with Leverkusen in a bit of a crisis, desperately fighting against the drop. They have made strides since Thomas Hörster took charge, 7 points from 4 Bundesliga matches. And Ojigwe with the challenge. The referee has run out of patience, and a yellow card for the Nigerian.
Yes, indeed, that yellow card wasn't for that foul Ojigwe just committed. There was a number of fouls that accumulated on him. You're absolutely right. It was just one too many for Ojigwe.
Emre, the player who went to ground. So the first caution of the match. We're midway through the first half. Emre with the delivery for Inter. Seemed to hang up inside the box. But Ivan Ramiro Cordoba trying to get into position. If you're watching in Latin America, quick reminder about our Spanish football coverage presented by Goodyear this weekend. Eddie and I will have Rayo Vallecano against Atletico Madrid for you on Saturday. That's the Madrid derby. And then a big one on Sunday. Real Madrid against Deportivo from the Bernabeu. It's first against third, only 3 points between the two sides. Real Madrid, of course, secure in the knowledge that their name will go into the hat for Friday's Champions League quarter-final draw. So what a game that promises to be. Hope you'll join us on Saturday and Sunday if you're watching in Latin America.
Well, for a team with such a poor defensive record in the second stage, Bayer Leverkusen, so far they've acquitted themselves rather well, and Hector Cooper will be concerned about the number of chances that his side generates Had one or two.
Here's Martins. His pace has proved troublesome as far as the Leverkusen defenders are concerned. Emre now, and Martins with a bit of freedom, and Boots. Well, he grabbed hold of it. Frustration for the 18-year-old striker. He smacked it, but unfortunately for him, straight at Jörg Boot.
And whatever he's feeling inside, we saw in full view. He thought that ball had just squeezed under Boots. Somehow, Leverkusen's goalkeeper grabbed a hold of it on the second attempt. Lovely play by Emre.
And now this is promising. And what a chance, Francois available inside the box. Well, he squanders the chance after good work by Schimak. Both newcomers to the Leverkusen set-up this season, and a corner it is.
Well, I'll tell you what, Derek, a confident striker would have walked onto this one for Francois and just banged it in. Lovely work from Simic, and he didn't need the touch there. He just needed to curl it low into the far corner, and that speaks of his lack of confidence.
Schimak with the short corner. Now Bastuak. And Martins back there putting in a shift defensively. Cristiano Zanetti.
That's a game we're having.
Oh, it's thrilling stuff, and it's wide open. It's very pleasing on the eye from the neutral point of view, this. Yildiray Bastuak. And to leave Javier Zanetti for dead. This is Martins Obafemi. Well, a quick reminder again for those of you watching in Latin America that we've got Spanish football coming up on Saturday, presented by Goodyear. That's Rayo Vallecano against Atletico Madrid, the Madrid derby. Rayo Vallecano in desperate relegation trouble. Atletico Madrid have been up and down this season, but are pushing hard for a place in European competition. You'll see that game on Saturday. Check your local listings for the times where you are. 0-0 here, if you've just joined us on ESPN.
Chance for both teams in quick succession. Martins once again almost squeezed his shot under Jörg Butz, and then Francois missing a golden opportunity when played in by Czech international Schimak.
Well, we're experiencing one or two technical problems. We apologise for that. You're watching the Champions League here on ESPN. It's match day 12, and so much pressure on Inter Milan here. With a win, they can secure their place in Friday's quarter-final draw. If they fail to win, then the possibility is there for Newcastle United. Thomas Hörster surveys the scene. As he played for Bayer Leverkusen between 1979 and 91. Notice the club set up inside out, having coached the Regionalliga team, the amateur side.
I think the danger for young Martins is he doesn't run himself into the ground too soon, Derek. Because every time they've broken forward, they've looked for him, tried to play him in. I just hope the young man, and he should have enough stamina because he's young, and I hope he can go the distance.
Daniel Birovka, an impressive solo run, very much against the odds. Zanetti, Javier of that ilk. Cristiano Zanetti also involved now, having come on for the injured Okan. Leverkusen, the only team without a point to their name in stage 2. They're anxious to avoid joining the list of teams who have lost all 6 matches in a single stage. Kozice back in 97-98, Fenerbahce in the 2001-2002 season, and Spartak Moscow in this present campaign. Ramelow. As I was saying earlier, he's had 1 or 2 boos in recent weeks, Carsten Ramelow, and was left out of the side on a couple of occasions just after Thomas Hörster replaced Klaus Toppmöller.
I would say on chances it's been relatively even. Inter have had a couple of good ones. So too have Leverkusen, who have not just laid down and let Inter run all over them. We do have an intriguing game. I think obviously tonight, Derek, first blood is important. If Inter strike first, I think they run away with this tie, but if Leverkusen get it, look out.
Good flick from Francois, tidied up by Javier Zanetti. Sergio Conceição Working back inside his own half. Now Ivan Ramiro Cordoba. This is a better Leverkusen performance than we've seen from them in recent Champions League matches. They've tended to give up the ghost and almost resigned to defeat before a ball's kicked.
Well, any time you can play your football without fear of consequence, and Leverkusen simply have no comeback on tonight's performance, you can just go play. And that gives you confidence to start the match. And you've seen Leverkusen have been unfazed by what Inter are doing. It's up to Inter to deal with the pressure and still try and put in a performance. There's confidence there from a man who's been downtrodden.
And it's great work by the captain, Carsten Ramelow. And Cristiano Zanetti's pass goes astray.
I think the one thing I've seen from Inter, it's been good in spurts, but it's not been a fluid performance yet from Hector Cooper's men. And that certainly is what they're trying to get, a rhythm, sustained attacks, and of course, goals.
There's Bastian. Those quick feet of his, the Turkish international, Birovka. Too much elevation. It was a quick-fire move and an impressive one from Bayer Leverkusen.
Well, he chose the wrong option. Look when it goes wide, he's got two people to hit. And from an acute angle, Birovka's gone for the strike. Bastian breaks down the defence. I think the better option was to square it across the face of the goal. Birovka went for his own. And for me, he took the wrong option.
We've reached the 30-minute mark here at the Bayer Arena. This will serve as the base for the German team at World Cup 2006. Side flag is up.
What a chance, Derek, because Leverkusen have decided to hold their line. And Martins held his run. I think it might have been Morfeo who's gone far too soon when the chance was on to get played in.
Diego Placente. Birovka on the left. Just unfortunate that this would actually be an official venue come 2006. It's a wonderful environment for top quality football. Placente. A little bit short capacity-wise, but they had planned to build extensions to the stadium, but the compromise was reached, and the German national team will be based here for the duration of the competition. It's the Bayer Arena equipped with a top-notch hotel and banquet facilities. It really is state-of-the-art. 0-0 the score. Inter have the throw over on the far side. It came off Placente.
I think when we see the possession number, you'll find it's relatively even, and for Inter to dominate this match, they have to up their percentage in terms of possession. He's in good nick, isn't he? Angel Boot.
And it's not been the best of seasons for Boot. Put the ball into his own net when the two teams locked horns back on the 10th of December. Inter prevailing that night by 3-2. Sergio Conceição for Inter Milan. No problems for the Bayer defence. Fell nicely for França. He's quite well equipped to play the role of lone striker. He's the Brazilian. Daric busting through, away by Ivan Ramiro Cordoba. And Martins.
But if you contrast França to Inter's lone striker, there's no comparison today. This lad has worked his socks off. He's been explosive. His pace has frightened the Bayer defence. França, for me, hasn't put himself about enough.
Continuing to keep an eye on the situation at St James's Park. It's still 0-0 there. And no goals here either. So as things stand, the scorelines are favouring Inter Milan. It's a very tense match day 12. Thomas Kleine. Promoted to the first team squad this season, Kleine. Played in 5 Bundesliga matches in the present campaign. This is his 8th appearance in the European club competition altogether.
Anytime you set out to play, you try and win a game, obviously, Derek, but when you go out knowing you have to win, it's not as easy as it sounds. It's a straightforward proposition, but at times you press when you shouldn't. At times you rush things when you can take your time, and when you know you have to go and win, it sometimes can prove very difficult.
And it's been a bit of a struggle in the Champions League for Inter since the return from the winter break. 3 matches played, 2 points garnered.
They've had all sorts of problems, in fairness to them. Obviously Batistuta coming over is not eligible. Crespo tried to make his comeback, he hasn't been available.
Excitement in the air here in Leverkusen as Bastiuk tries to go forward. Franca's there, now Šimak. Franca, and the whistle goes. He did find the net at the San Siro against Inter earlier. Berdaric almost caught the Inter defence napping that time. Played by Javier Zanetti, not decisively. And a nudge by Berdaric.
I must say, I've been rather surprised at Inter's defence and how jittery they have appeared. The foundation of Hector Cooper's side is his back four, and tonight they seem to be feeling the pressure more than any aspect of the team.
Just had a funny feeling about this game before a ball was kicked tonight. Hard to believe that Leverkusen have gone through the second stage without picking up a single point, and that they've been so disappointing. Surely due for an upturn in fortunes. Franca. The shot was being pulled. Šimak, former Hannover 96 player, controversial character off the park. And disappointing free kick it was from Šimak. And that was very poor indeed. Error in judgment. And the break is on here for Inter. Sergio Conceição couldn't get to it. Now he does, and Martins with his blinding pace, the youngster! Yes! The 18-year-old Nigerian. And how about that for a celebration? A couple of near misses already from Martins, but he made no mistake that time. And could it be the goal? The goal from the 18-year-old that will see Inter through to the last 8.
Well, look at the back four. It gets caught out here. A poor clearance, and Conceição plays him in. And this is the stuff that dreams are made of. 18 years of age, a chance to put Inter into the quarter-finals. And with a couple of opportunities already squandered, he's kept his cool, lined it up, and just tucked it calmly past. But, and how about this? I wondered if he'd been last the match in terms of energy. He's got plenty of it. What a start, what a dream finish for the young'un.
So much pressure on him tonight. Remember the name, Akinwunmi Martins Obafemi. And it's Martins who has given Inter Milan the lead. All they need is a straightforward victory to qualify for the quarter-finals of the Champions League. They're minus Vieri, they're minus Recoba, they're minus Batistuta, as Eddie said, and they're minus Crespo. And they're relying on this 18-year-old sensation. And he's asked questions of the Leverkusen defence with his pace. And that certainly is finishing beyond reproach that time.
As I said before, Inter were hoping that Leverkusen would come up and play them. And in truth, Leverkusen gifted them that goal with a mistake at the back. Martins was up for it.
Now Leverkusen have pushed all the big men forward. Ramelo's gone up, and it almost caught out Francesco Toldo. Jan Šimak, the free kick specialist, and Vicente ran over it earlier on. But this was the mistake. Sergio Conceição feeding Martins, and how about this for a finish, Eddie?
Well, no one's going to catch him, and he's took his time, lined it up, but you watch how he's finished. He's passed the ball into the net. He's not took a wild swipe at it and risk blazing it wider over. He's just stroked it calmly, and that's what good finishers do. His pace has been electric, his skill's been top-notch, And now we know the lad can finish, and he can do acrobatic tricks as well.
Bastiuk. Now it's all about defending this advantage from the Inter Milan point of view.
I think no problem now, Derek. The goal will pick up the part of the team that was struggling, that's the defence. They'll be even more determined. I don't think you'll see mistakes at the back for Inter, and they can just kick on now from here and try and seal this match completely as Leverkusen start to get a bit frustrated and lose interest.
And Leverkusen, to be fair, had more than held their own up until that goal by Martins. Bivovka deciding to have a go. Daniel Bivovka, positive player, and good signing by Leverkusen from 1860.
Look at the invitation that Inter defence have given him. They backed away, given Bivovka the strike, and he took it, dragging it wide.
Quick note about our basketball coverage this week. Live on Friday, you'll see the Minnesota Timberwolves against the San Antonio Spurs. That will be Saturday lunchtime if you're watching down under. And then the Washington Wizards up against the Phoenix Suns. That's at the second part of our Friday doubleheader. Later on Saturday if you're watching in Australia or New Zealand. 1-0 Inter Milan with the advantage here. Just over 5 minutes left in the first half. It's match day 12. So much at stake. And Martins, the youngster, full of energy and full of confidence. To loop it through, Domenico Morfeo is the man playing up alongside at Martins.
Well, he's simply frightened the Leverkusen defence, Martins. Anytime he picks it up, they are scurrying and wondering how to stop him. Him alone is attracting two players around him, leaving space for others.
This is Berdaric. Now the chase is on here. It's França who's making the run. To cut it back in. Ramelow was arriving late. Really a shortage of options for França in the area. And was there a hand by Ojigwe? Referee didn't think so. Valentin Ivanov from Russia. Bivovka. Bastiuk. Small frame, crowded out very easily by Luigi Di Biagio. Don't forget, coming up shortly, our Sports Centre update. Now you see the stories that we're following. Sports Centre coming up during the half-time interval. There's the electronic scoreboard, flashing the information into the night sky. 1-0 to Inter Milan.
Well, he's looked a likely scorer, hasn't he, Martins? From the opening minutes, he has looked an absolute live wire. And he's been a joy to watch, in truth, Derek. An absolute refreshing change to watch a player who excites you on every touch. Tip my hat to him for getting the goal as well.
Forward by Javier Zanetti. Di Biagio, the holding player in midfield for Inter Milan, comes to Coco. And to leave Berdaric for dead. Breaks down, however. Cristiano Zanetti was the other player in the vicinity for Inter. Now that goal should steady a few Inter nerves, but Inter Cooper knows it's not in the bag yet. 0-0, by the way, the score at St James's Park. But that's irrelevant if Inter win here. Doesn't matter what happens in the Newcastle match. Ojigwe. Now Bastiuk, having a slightly deeper role than normal this evening. Usually see Bastiuk working much more just off the front strikers. He's playing almost side by side with Ramelow in a more defensive position this evening. Martins, and a very quick first touch it was. Can he get it back from Morfeo? Martins is in again and appeals for a penalty. And the referee, Valentin Ivanov, doesn't hesitate. A penalty to Inter Milan. And my goodness, young Martins is posing all sorts of problems.
Well, watch how he makes an opportunity. He plays the 1-2 with Morfeo and then intelligently cuts across the defender. And that's what drew the penalty. Once he cuts across Kleiner right here, That puts the defender in a difficult position. The challenge is made in the box. And this man has brought the game to life once again.
A booking for Thomas Kleine, and it means he'll miss the next European match played by Leverkusen. It's doubtful that it'll be next season, the way things are going for them. Boots is the acknowledged penalty kick specialist for Leverkusen when it comes to taking them. But now he must prevent this one. And Domenico Morfeo will take it. There's a minute left in the first half. And it's Morfeo and Boots. And Morfeo tries to follow up. And goodness me, Inter fail to convert. And Leverkusen remain alive. Well, that would have steadied nerves going into the half-time interval. A disappointing penalty, and Boots read it correctly.
Well, perhaps as a penalty taker himself, Boots had a little advantage there. But it was a poor strike for Morfeo when you see it.
Now Ramelow charging forward. Very fine França. Pass was a bit heavy from Carsten Ramelow. Well, will that give Leverkusen a bit of hope? Now Ojigwe trying to hit the byline. Bastuak. And they'll charge out of that defensive area, forward by Cristiano Zanetti. We've had the 45 minutes, 2 minutes of time to be added on, but a penalty missed the story here.
Well, look at the height he puts it. He gives Butt a fighting chance. It's not well struck to the corners, and Butt read it right, gone to his left, and the height on the penalty made it a save that he could pull off, and how he did. To miss at this time for Inter. That I feel would have been over.
I think so, to go to the interval 2-0 ahead. The back of Bayer Leverkusen would surely have been broken. Either Neville and Schneider warming up for the home side. França's there. We will have 2 minutes of time added on at the end of this first half. Placente. Certainly they've been busy, the centre-backs, Cordoba and Cannavaro. Pass by Kleine, wasn't what the doctor ordered.
As a bit annoyed, Hector Cooper. I understand it. There's a chance to pave the way, make things relatively easy in the second half. And Morfeo, an experienced player for them, has not done the job.
Di Biagio. Now this is Coco. Emre. And it goes to Ivan Ramiro Cordoba, the Colombian international. Javier Zanetti with Birovka snapping at his heels. Schemack. Fall for França. It's Cannavaro's clearance. Well, it's been very entertaining, and Martins, an 18-year-old, certainly stamping his authority on match day 12.
Yeah, he's been the story of the first half, without question. What a performance from the youngster.
So Inter Milan have the lead at the break. Martins Obafemi, to give him his full name, the 18-year-old Nigerian, capitalising on negligence by the Bayer Leverkusen defenders. They've had their chances in truth as well, the home side, but haven't been able to put them away. They might still be capable of posing problems for Inter, but the visitors will be kicking themselves because Domenico Morfeo was denied from the spot just before half-time by Jörg Boots. Inter leading here in Germany by 1-0.
They're back. They're the best in the world. Be part of the racket. The Tennis Masters Series returns to ESPN. The top players from every corner of the globe battle all season long. The Tennis Masters Series on ESPN. it from behind. Murray back to Thornton. In front, maneuvers back to home!
Especially at the end of the year, he has been able to take over from outside. Richardson, nice try.
That's the explosiveness, and that's the athletic ability I was talking about.
Howard, nice kick to Danilou. Lakers trail it by 9. Left side to Shaq, guarded by Juju. Nice pass to Kobe, slam dunk. Should be extremely fast. Lag cut it quite well. Look at this. Look at this. Yeah!
Welcome to Sports Center in-game. Worried about the threat of war in Iraq, Tuesday, Major League Baseball canceled its season-opening series in Japan between the Mariners and Athletics. The teams were scheduled to leave on Wednesday for games March 25th and 26th at the Tokyo Dome. Seattle's visit was highly anticipated because of 3 Japanese stars on the Mariners. Ichiro Suzuki, Kazuhiro Sasaki, and reliever Shigetoshi Hasegawa is also Japanese. It would have been the first time Seattle owner Hiroshi Yamauchi, who lives in Japan, saw his team play. Japanese soccer officials are considering cancellation of 2 exhibition matches next week in the United States if the U.S. goes to war against Iraq. Yamabuchi said a final decision will be made at a JFA council meeting on Friday. The Japanese are set to leave Sunday to play Uruguay in San Diego next Wednesday, and the U.S. in Seattle 3 days later. The JFA decided to cancel the matches last month, but reconsidered after being assured by U.S. soccer officials that the players would be safe. For Roy Jones Jr. versus Evander Holyfield, it could happen, USA Today reported on Wednesday. Jones, who outclassed John Ruiz on March 1st, may get in the ring against Holyfield October 4th at Madison Square Garden. Jones was quoted as saying that he would fight Mike Tyson if it was a big money fight, at least $100 million. But to fight Holyfield, he'd require much less. NBA action, Rockies assistant Larry Smith in for Rudy T. Early first quarter. Brett Berry behind the back to Ray Allen for the lay-in. Seattle up 6-2. Later in the first, Steve Francis with the offensive board to Yao for the jam. Third quarter, Seattle by 2. Brett Berry, drive.
I must say it's a beautiful night for football here in the Rhineland, and so far so good for Inter Milan. All they need is a win to progress to the last 8 of the UEFA Champions League, and they have the advantage here thanks to that goal by Akinwunmi Martins Obafemi, to give him his full name, not simply by Martins on the back of his shirt, the 18-year-old striker promoted from the youth team. And a beautifully taken goal it was. A missed penalty though by Inter Milan right on half-time, souring things just a bit. What we can tell you is that Bayer Leverkusen have decided to replace Berdaric and Bastuak, and on have come the 2 German internationals, Oliver Neuville and Bernd Schneider. And so much for Bayer Leverkusen not taking this seriously.
Well, very surprised in view of what we mentioned earlier, that they've got a massive date at the weekend with Kaiserslautern. The fans want a good performance and a good showing from their home side. I think the manager's responded by putting 2 German internationals on.
The man we're looking at is Oliver Neuville. And a very pacey player, likes to operate through the middle, often used wide on the right. There's Bernd Schneider, such a good technician in midfield. And that will give Leverkusen a bit of hope, surely. Maffeo steering it back. It's Inter Milan attacking the goal to our right in the second half, and had that penalty gone in, it surely would have killed off this as a contest. It's at 1-0, Leverkusen still very much in it. That means that the group is still open, at least for the second qualifying place. 0-0 the score at St James's Park, where Newcastle United are taking on Barcelona, and we will keep you up to date with the situation there as the night progresses. Past in Ramelow. Here's Ojigwe. Schneider just tucking into the centre of midfield. That was uncharacteristically sloppy from Bernd Schneider. So Newcastle United now with it all to do. They must win and hope that Inter slip up.
But Derek, if Newcastle can nick one and go 1-0 in front of Barcelona, that news will filter to Inter and set their nerves back on the raw edges.
This is Placente. And the Polish international Kalużny.
Inter no need to press now, as they did in the first half. We saw them pushing up higher. Now they can just keep their shape, keep it compact, and just look for break opportunities.
Schneider. There's Ojigwe. Ramelow. Who joined us late here at the start of the second half. Thomas Hurst has added the two German internationals to the equation. Schneider and Neville, with Bastiuk and Berdaric replaced. Francesco Coco in position to take the throw for Inter. There's Ramelow. It's been such a gruelling season for Bayer Leverkusen. Much of it, I think, has had to do with the after effects of the World Cup finals. They had no fewer than 10 players in the Far East last summer. And it's been a slog in the Bundesliga. They haven't caught fire on the second group stage of the Champions League, but now they're out to finish with a flourish. Take something from this last game against Inter. Placente. And safety first. Back to Jörg Butt. Placente. There's Kalużny. Schneider makes himself available. Schneider and Ramelow now playing almost alongside one another in the centre of midfield. It was careless. Morfeo and Martins offside.
Yep. That was just a little hasty from Martins. He knew he was in the clear, spotted the opening. I'll tell you what.
Not sure.
No. I thought on first glimpse he's gone out the traps too early. I think Kalužny's played him on.
And when you're blessed with as much pace as Martins is, it's easy to bamboozle the officials.
And me. I'll tell you what we've got in the second half. It's cat and mouse now. How interested are Leverkusen? Will they push forward? Inter are hoping so, because they want to catch him out on the break.
Ojigwe's header, and Šimak was the man who had dashed into the middle. Lirovka limping noticeably as we speak here. They've already made two substitutions of Bayer Leverkusen. And Morfeo trying to find Sergio Conceição.
I'd expect nothing else than a professional performance from Hector Cooper's men in the second half. I think they'll be absolutely razor tight at the back, compact in midfield, and play the purest counter-attacking game you've ever seen in this second half.
This is by no means his first choice 11. Vieri and Recoba suspended, as we said. Crespo out injured, as well as Calon, Dalmat, Ventola, Materazzi, and Batistuta cup-tied. Neville now. First real chance to have a go at the Inter defence, and this is what he does so well. And to push it through to França, and a free kick.
Superb referee.
To Bayer Leverkusen, just waited to see if the advantage was developing.
Superb from the official there. Neuville's pace could be a factor in the second half. Zanetti hooked him. And once it didn't work out for França, the referee went back and gave the free kick.
Valentin Ivanov from Russia is the man in the middle tonight. Well, Bernd Schneider very often has a go from this sort of range. The former Eintracht Frankfurt player. And a key member of the German team at the World Cup finals last summer. It's Schneider for Leverkusen, and straight into the wall.
They've timed it well, the wall. They jumped in unison. Zanetti getting his back on it.
Pascal Ojigwe with the throw for the home side. And Neville at least adds an extra dimension. He's such a tricky player, a difficult man to dispossess, and he will win the free kicks around the penalty area. Now Klein has gone forward, as has Kaluzny, lending height to the Bayer Leverkusen attack. 7 minutes into the second half, it's Schneider with it. And just hooked away without much fuss by Domenico Morfeo.
Well, we're going to get an idea of what's inside for the Inter players. Are there any lingering nerves, or are they focused on seeing this one out? The defence was a bit wobbly in the first half. Have they shored things up, or are they still nervous?
Schneider with the corner, and França! At one point in its flight, it looked as though it might be net bound from the Brazilian.
Well, he's caught it flush, hasn't he, on the head, and it's just drifted wide. I tell you what, Todo would have been seriously struggling to get this. He's met it flush, and watch the goalkeeper. He would have been scoring to get that one.
I think the substitutions have made a difference.
No doubt about it, Derek.
A positive difference as far as Leverkusen are concerned.
And hats off to Leverkusen's coach, Thomas Hörster. He's absolutely making a game of this and keeping the Inter Milan players well and truly honest.
There's Kaluzny for Bayer.
When we saw it yesterday with the Real Madrid situation in Dortmund, you just never know. You never know, and Inter are in the box seat at the moment, but don't rule out a result coming through from St James's Park.
And it stands at 0-0 there. It's 1-0 to Inter here. Bert Schneider. And Placente is making the run out on the left. Now he has to race back. The end of the Champions League campaign will, it has to be said, come as a bit of a relief to Bayer. Chance to focus fully on remaining in the Bundesliga. Di Biagio has gone to ground. And Morfeo, and the challenge was illegal. Morfeo on Placente. Simak was the player who went in for the ball against Gigi Di Biagio.
Have a look what happens. He's barged him in the back, hasn't he? Biagio's taking it square on the tailbone. Should be all right.
We've almost reached the 10-minute mark in the second half. Ramelow for Bayer Leverkusen. This is Placente.
See how the goals change the match. Look at Inter's posture now. They are defensive-minded, protecting what they've got.
Neville and Schneider. These two have such a fine understanding. Well read by Emre Belözoğlu. The Turkish international. Ramelow always puts in a good honest shift, doesn't he? Simak. And perhaps overcommitting that time via Leverkusen. The break is on here for Inter. Sergio Conceição. And Martins is the lone player in the middle. Sergio Conceição has a go.
Well, the youngsters delivered it. Conceição, Martins. He wanted it squared across the box first time, and once he'd made his run and Conceição cut back, it left Martins with no place to go.
This is Schneider. And very typical of Schneider, that pass. Now Martins trying to use his pace to good effect.
It's a great weapon to have, Derek, and with the goal lead, Inter can play classic counter. Stick Martins on his own, soak up the pressure, and hope Leverkusen give Martins some room to run into. And the youngster wraps in the second.
Placente. Now Ramelow. It goes to Kaluzny. And no pressure here on the Leverkusen defenders from the front pair of Martins and Morfeo. Happy just to drop off a few yards.
Well, cat and mouse, as we said, is in full effect in the second half.
Hope you're enjoying our coverage wherever you're watching. It's so tense here on Matchday 12. Morfeo and Martins, and where was the defence? Martins is clean through, he scored once already. And Boots. Oh, that's very much part of Jörg Boots' repertoire. Swiftly off his line, sensing the danger, narrowing the angle, but Martins will feel he should have bagged his second.
Well, he had an option. He could have squared the ball across and played in Di Biagio. He's gone for his own. And the second time tonight, Boots has used his shins to deny Martins, who was completely onside.
And that's been typical of the Leverkusen defence. Since the return from the winter break in the Bundesliga and here in the Champions League, tendency to be posted missing like that. Now they're in full flight going forward with Oliver Neville. He said he likes to play through the middle, but being used on the right here. And Ramelow. Sergio Conceição shepherds it back to Francesco Toldo.
Is that a back pass or what?
One or two murmurs from the crowd. Now Martins at the other end, and Boots, always been an adventurous goalkeeper, needs to be careful here, and away by Kaluzny. Well, exciting stuff. This was a piece of adventurism by Jörg Boots.
I think he has been. He's quick off his line tonight, Boots. He was quick to come out and meet Martins on that occasion.
Well, Chris is one of the substitutes preparing to come on. A Brazilian defender, maybe to shore things up at the back. Ramelow. França chasing hard. It's been a disappointing outing for França. Klein is there, just getting the better of Martins. Well, dramatic news coming through from St James's Park, and it's Barcelona who have scored through Patrick Kluivert on the hour mark. And so everything at the moment, Eddie, pointing to Inter Milan progressing to the last 8.
Yeah, the scenario is firmly with Inter. They're leading anyway. The win would have made the result at St James's Park academic, but now they know. It looks like the best Newcastle might do is get snatch a draw and that sees them through anyway, so it's all going to plan for Inter, but they'd like to get that insurance goal.
It's Cannavaro who's taken the fall. Well, 2 Italian teams already through. Juventus and AC Milan. And Inter join them after several disappointing seasons for Italian clubs in the Champions League. They're back with a vengeance this time around.
They'll never get a better chance. Inter, what a position they're in now. It's all gone right for them.
Well, the free kick will have to be retaken. Remember, if you're watching in Latin America, SportsCenter is coming up after we're off the air. All the goals, all the highlights of this round of action in the Champions League. That'll be coming up a bit later for those of you watching in Australia or New Zealand. And Schneider, not looking terribly clever. Corner to Inter. And 1 or 2 lackadaisical moments from Schneider since he came on. Sergio Conceição in no hurry. Inter holding all the aces here on match day 12, leading here, and their rivals Newcastle United are trailing at home to Barcelona. As Birovka, as you were. Sergio Conceição, a bit of a chase to pick up the ball. Cordoba's gone forward. Poor delivery by Sergio Conceição. Birovka shuffled that one away. And was it over the touchline? Decision will go by Leverkusen's way. Actually, the free kick was given. Offside flag was up in the end. Ramelow. There's Neville. And Schneider. As the Inter players funnel back, Diego Placente. Movement from Birovka. Have to settle for the throw-in, but Inter really the masters when it comes to denying opponents space, keeping things tight. Here's the substitution, and it's an attacking midfielder being withdrawn, Jan Šimak, and the defender coming on in the Brazilian Chris.
I think that speaks to the weekend, taking Šimak off. Chris coming on, maybe to latch on to Martins, but we're going to need Šimak in future times. I think that is a move with an eye on the games coming up.
We do have the option of moving Kaluzhny into midfield, and interesting that Kaluzhny is having a chat with Thomas Förster. Free kick to Bayer, to be taken by Bernd Schneider. Mohamedo has gone forward to join the attack, and Chris is in there immediately alongside Kaluzhny. Taken by Schneider, and Toldo was slow in getting there. França tried to drive it home. Well, it was Kaluzhny who got his head to the ball initially, and Toldo knew little about this, Eddie.
Well, he's had very little to do in truth, Toldo, with his second best there. And when França latched onto it, for a moment there was some space in the goal. Deflection takes it for the corner. Chris almost making an immediate impact. Gets it just a fraction ahead of Toldo, and it broke kindly for Inter.
Oliver Neuville in position meanwhile to take the corner. We've been playing for 18 minutes in the second half here. And treatment being administered to Kaluzhny. Neuville with the corner for the home side. And a speculative drive fell back to Placente. Never really troubling Toldo.
It just goes to show, Derek, you just can't relax on this level. Hector Cooper knows it. It's only a slender lead for Inter to enjoy. They could have put this match well and truly beyond the reach of Leverkusen. Still, too close for comfort.
And Kaluzhny has been given the all-clear to continue. The elegant Cannavaro. Trying to find Martins. We were just saying during the half-time interval, Eddie, but for the pace of young Martins, it's been a decidedly ordinary performance from Inter Milan. Nothing terribly special.
I think that's accurate, but the one thing they have done, they've played to their strengths. And they've recognised what the youngster brings to the table. They've kept it relatively tight defensively, and they've looked for Martins, so in that sense they've been quite efficient.
By the way, we are hearing from St James's Park that Newcastle are pressing and pressing. Craig Bellamy's had a couple of close shaves, but it's still 1-0 to Barcelona. Remember though, Newcastle United were as good as out of it at the end of the first group stage, and then pulled off that miracle. Way to Feyenoord. Good run it was by Birovka. And the shot just slicing a trifle wide.
And the two looked at each other from the Inter's defence. Birovka speared in from the left and angled his shot across the goal. And hats off to Leverkusen for at least making a contest of this. So he's hit the drive and he wants it to go the other way. And it just takes off from the outside of the boot.
Well, for Inter to be deprived of a place in the last 8, Newcastle United must come back against Barcelona. It'll all be academic if it ends in a win for Barca, or indeed in a draw. Di Biagio into reverse gear to Cordoba. It's Placente's header. Birovka. See what they've done, Eddie. It's 3 at the back now for Bayer Leverkusen. That's the switch they've made, with Ojigwe pushed up on the right as a wing back, Placente on the left. And the three centre-backs across there. Kleine,
Yep, that's
Chris and Kalushi.
Yep, exactly what's happened. I think they're going to use the three to snuff out one. That's the hope. And use the pace of Neuville on the right, maybe through the middle.
Kleine, feeding Jörg Butt. Leverkusen have really struggled in front of goal of late. Just one goal in their last three competitive matches. Coming in a disappointing 1-1 draw with Wolfsburg this past weekend here at the Bayer Arena. Schneider with a challenge on Sergio Conceição. It's a mild rebuke from the Russian referee, Valentin Ivanov.
He's committed right there into the tackle. Left his studs up slightly. Just wrapped Conceição on the ankle.
There's Martins.
So with having set three central defenders now, Martins is going to have to make his runs into the channels, as he'll get blocked out by sheer weight of numbers down the middle, and that will at least take him away from the goal as far as Leverkusen is concerned.
Free kick to be taken by either Emre or Sergio Conceição, the pair of them side by side. And it is Emre, the Turkish international. No real problems encountered by Butt. Here's Ojigwe. Oliver Neuville. Distinctive gait of his. Schneider. And set up for the corner. Came off Ivan Ramiro Cordoba.
That's a good swift break, that, and Neuville had players over at the far side. He could have got it over. Leverkusen have maintained interest in this match, and that's good for the neutral.
Schneider with the delivery. Neuville for Leverkusen. Kunku trying to head it clear. There's Sergio Conceição. And Ramelow went to ground, but the free kick has already gone against Leverkusen. And an irate Carsten Ramelow.
Decision has to be handball there, doesn't it? And Ramelow a bit unlucky.
Just over 20 minutes to go. And Inter Milan at the moment looking very good as far as a place in the quarter-finals of the Champions League goes.
Yeah, they've done what they've needed to do, Derek. Got the goal to put them in front. The only thing you can reproach Inter for is not sealing the game and killing it off, but you know, typical fashion, they've been efficient where they've needed to be.
And Schneider. Now Birovka's making the run on the left. Well, that's good work by Birovka. So biting off more than he could chew when all was said and done. And Toldo just anxious to get rid of it.
That's a fantastic clearance under that pressure. Coops a bit worried because Leverkusen are gambling by throwing sheer weight and numbers at Inter. He might have to make an adjustment himself, Hector Cooper, to deal with the wing-backs particularly.
I'm hearing that Craig Bellamy has missed another good opportunity for Newcastle United. So they trail 1-0 to Barcelona. Inter lead 1-0 here against Leverkusen. It's all pointing to Inter Milan occupying the second place in Group A and thus progressing to the quarter-finals.
So far in the second half, they've kept Martins relatively quiet. Particularly now he's faced with three defenders on him. Only takes one moment to spring the young man.
And Cannavaro at the back. And it's a difficult one for Coco to control. Ojigwe. Certainly Neuville has added a bit of spark to the Leverkusen attack. And Sergio Conceição. Zanetti coming into the move. Birovka robbing him. Placente. Birovka. Ramelow. And Kaluzhny, the Polish international, using the Nigerian Ojigwe. Little head flick, but França hasn't had too many bright moments this evening. Martins. Not there to try to put the wind up, Chris.
It's clever play, really, from the youngster. He's used his body to draw the foul. Chris stood his ground. Martins bumped into him. The way he bounced off him influenced the referee. For a man who said he wasn't interested in this match, I think Thomas Hurster has put a lot into it, Derek.
And so looking for that second goal here. That would surely make certain a victory and a place in the last 8. Coco. And it's Neville doing the defending. And Coco will take this one. That's a good bold run by Francesco Coco. Ramelow stays with him. And Coco might settle for the corner here. That was the intention. Goal kick it is, however. Well, it's beginning to look as though Inter will be in the last 8 because Barcelona have scored number 2 at St James's Park. Thiago Motta, who was sent off in the league match at the weekend after 75 minutes. I fancy that's game, set and match, Eddie. Indeed.
They're an amazing story, aren't they, in this year's Champions League. Barcelona, mired with problems in the league, but in the Champions League, near unblemished. I think they've extinguished Newcastle's hopes. And surely the news will filter through to Inter. And they can see out the last 60 minutes.
There's Martins and Kleine crashing to the ground, but the free kick is given against the 18-year-old striker. And a substitution here from Hector Cooper. I'm sure he's got word about what's happening in the northeast of England. 2-0 to Barcelona there, 1-0 to Inter here. And Martins has actually just been cautioned by referee Valentin Ivanov. As Morfeo is replaced.
Yeah, silly move for the young man Martins. Tossing the ball away when the foul was awarded against him.
On comes Giovanni Pasquale, an extra defender. Pasquale, the 21-year-old, this is his 8th appearance in European club competition. And clearly a move to tighten things up. So we confirm the booking for Martins.
Yeah, Emery will just push slightly further behind Martins, and Pasquale drops into the midfield.
Sergio Conceição. Chris for Bayer Leverkusen. Well, can they at least avoid joining the list of teams without a single point to their name in a single stage of the Champions League? It's not as though they played horribly tonight.
It's a spirited performance, I'd say, from Leverkusen. When you look on balance of chances, Inter have had the clear chances, and on that note, I think they have shaded it for me. Leverkusen have had 1 or 2 half chances, Derek, but nothing clear cut.
And Chris gets away with that after a very heavy touch. Chris called into the Brazilian squad for the forthcoming match against Portugal. We played in Porto on the 29th of this month. Another Leverkusen player, Juan, also in the squad, named by Carlos Alberto Pajeira. So he's out injured at the moment. Only time will tell if he's fit enough to make that trip.
It's certainly looking good for Italian football going forward into the quarterfinals. It's going to be all the heavyweights in there.
And we've talked, of course, about the possibility of Real Madrid facing Barcelona. Wouldn't it be something very special to have a Milan derby in the knockout stage?
Well, they wouldn't have to travel far, that's for sure.
Vicente somehow keeps that in play for Bayer Leverkusen. And disappointment again. França got rid of the ball and played it into an awkward section of the park. Emre and Martins, who's onside. Look at the pace from the 18-year-old Martins. And right across the face of the goal. Javier Zanetti was the man who was making the run into the 6-yard area, but we've been thoroughly entertained by this young man.
Wow, he's simply electric to watch, and the devastating pace takes him in the clear. And from a real tight angle, he's tried to squeeze it in. I just wonder where they found this young man, because he's an absolute diamond in the rough. And when they polish him up, what a player he's going to be.
If you're in Latin America, don't forget we've got a double bill of Spanish football for you this weekend, presented by Goodyear. The Madrid derby on Saturday, relegation threat in Rayo Vallecano against European chasing Atletico Madrid. Then on Sunday, what has been described as a potential title decider, Real Madrid against Deportivo La Coruña. Real Madrid, the current leaders, Deportivo in third, just 3 points behind. You'll see that game on Sunday. That's if you're watching in Latin America only.
Truthfully, Martins very easily could have had a hat-trick tonight. He's had so many clear opportunities, been thwarted a couple of times by, but he has been exciting to watch.
And so many Inter supporters were worried about all the strikers who were missing. Vieri, Crespo, Batistuta, who's cup-tied, Recoba. Instead, they have depended on an 18-year-old from Nigeria, and it's his goal that may well be Inter's passport into the last 8. Thomas Kleine for Bayer Leverkusen. Schneider. That's Schneider having a go. And it was worth a shot from that sort of range.
Hopeful in the end. Once he's turned here, there was very little conviction in the strike, as he's sliced it high and over. On to more pressing business, really, for Leverkusen. This chapter's about to be closed on them.
Yes, the fight against the drop is the thing as far as Leverkusen management and players are concerned. And a massive game coming up this weekend away to Kaiserslautern, who are making a bit of a move. They've actually moved out of the bottom 3. Europa, wir kommen wieder. Europe will come again. That's the message from the Leverkusen supporters.
Are you sure it says that?
Well, it helps to know one language.
It's a long way off for them. It might come again, but not for a long while.
Well, they are convinced they'll be back. And Heiner Kalmund was saying that yesterday, that next season it'll be a mixture of youth and experience, hopefully in the Bundesliga, not in the second division. But the goal is to be back in Europe within 2 or 3 years.
Easier said than done, Derek.
Yes, it is.
Once you lose your spot in the elite, the money that goes with it, it's very hard for you to recapture glory because of the finances these days.
Inter, of course, still chasing hard in the Scudetto race, 3 points behind Juventus. And many people believe now it is a 2-horse race between the pair of them. So fighting on 2 fronts. This is Javier Zanetti, and darting towards the byline, and steered behind by Kaluzny. Not sure he had to do that.
Well, he certainly didn't, but in the end he did. Possibly didn't get an early enough shout from the goalkeeper. And took the initiative himself. Sorry.
This is a new player to the squad, Radoslav Kaluzny. Hasn't had too many opportunities to play with Jörg Butt. Emre Belözoğlu overcomes the corner. Cristiano Zanetti foraging for it. Neville. Well, I have to say, it really would be nice to see Leverkusen get on target here, take something from this game. It's been such a disappointing season for them. 15th at present in the Bundesliga, just clear by 1 place of the relegation zone. It would be unthinkable for a team that 300 days ago was taking part in a Champions League final to be relegated.
Well, it's the abject lesson, isn't it? When you sell your best players, nothing good can come of it, and you can point to a lot of reasons why Leverkusen season has downturned, but Michael Ballack and Zé Roberto are certainly missed.
As Birovka, one of the newcomers, and Ramelow trying to veer into position. Ramelow, and it's still alive here for França! It just won't fall for Bayer Leverkusen. França had the goal at his mercy. It wouldn't go in.
Well, we've talked about Ballack and Zé Roberto being missed, and unfortunately, their new signings, it just hasn't come off for them. He's done all the hard work, França. Still had a lot to do from this acute angle. And he thought he had done it. He came up a fraction wide.
So a substitution by Inter Milan. Sergio Conceição, the Portuguese international, will be replaced by the Argentinian. His full name, of course, Andres Guglielmin Pietro. Hence the decision in Italian football circles to refer to him as Gulli.
Quite. Hector Cooper can certainly breathe easier now, not necessarily because of their standing, but what's happened in the northeast of England has certainly put them through.
Yes, it's 2-0 to Barcelona, in case you're wondering about the game there at St James's Park. So it means that Inter could even lose this match now and still go through. A lot of hard graft has gone into this performance. Surely they wouldn't begrudge Leverkusen a goal late on here. Birovka. Carsten Ramelow. Neville. Looking for options. Ramelow, one of them. Not the sort of move you usually associate with Ramelow. It's more Neville or Schneider territory. Martins. There's Emre. Now Chris is out of position, trying to drag back Emre, and clearly did. And the Brazilian's going to be in hot water. Yellow card, quite right.
Just got the wrong side of Emre. There's a Turkish international, twisted and turned him. He was about to lay Martins in. Just pulled up, moved, and then truly back.
Well, it might well end in disappointment for Rainer Kalmunds. Larger-than-life figure who's very much the public face of Bayern 04 Leverkusen.
Certainly see Rudi Völler. I mean, there's talk now of a crisis in German football. You know, there's maybe some merit to that. I think it's a bit premature. If this happens year after year, that the German teams miss out in the quarterfinals, then maybe you say it's a crisis, but I think it's a bit premature to start that talk.
And you never quite know if it's an aberration or not. And certainly Stuttgart, a very promising young team, only narrowly eliminated from the round of 16 of the UEFA Cup by Celtic. Similar story for Hertha Berlin, going out to Boavista. Dortmund, of course, ran everyone close last night and won their game, and went out despite collecting 10 points. So perhaps a time for cool heads.
Yeah, indeed. And you know, still remember the German national side did oh so well in the summer.
I wonder if that was part of the problem. So many players involved all the way to the final, and it's so difficult, isn't it, to come straight back and take part in the start of a long, hard season. Placente for Bayer Leverkusen. This is Birovka. And did well to find Ramelow after riding several challenges. Schneider. And Neville, who has operated predominantly from the wide positions on the right. And Coco takes it away from him. Pasquale.
Hector Cooper's tactics, when you look back on the game there, it was spot on. Didn't have many options up front, but he relied on one blistering piece of pace from Martins, who frightened the Leverkusen defence, packed the midfield behind him, and supplied the youngster on every opportunity.
Punching challenge by Chris. Got the ball cleanly, now Birovka. Leverkusen trying to avoid a whitewash in the second group stage. Here's Neville with the cross. Away by Fabio Cannavaro. Comes to Ramelow. And Kleine had stayed forward, but no problems for the inter-defence. Don't forget, we've got a post-match roundup coming up after the final whistle. We'll put Group A into context for you, but I think it's safe to say now, Inter Milan will be qualifying for the last 8 from this section, along with Barcelona. Vicente. Now Chris. Chris, the former captain of Cruzeiro, a big Belo Horizonte club in Brazil. And Neville wins the throw over on the far side.
I'll tell you what, this is possibly the first time you look at the quarterfinals and the draw we made on Friday. We'll try picking a winner out of that lot.
Good luck. Schneider and Neville. Disappointing control from Oliver Neville. As usually you look at the last 8 and say, well, perhaps there are a couple of rabbits in there, but not this time at all.
None at all. And to think this stage of the competition, so, you know, it's a rare treat to see in the quarterfinals. Just enjoy it.
And the draw will be made on Friday. And those of you watching in Africa and in the Pacific Rim, Press Pass will be on the air right after the draw. Check your local listings for the times where you are, but the draw will take place at lunchtime here in Europe on Friday. So if you want to know who's playing whom, tune into Press Pass on Friday. Eddie will be part of that programme.
I'll have no clue who. We'll have it hot off the press. Thanks for the plug.
There is Fabio Cannavaro tidying up at the back and trying to turn defence quickly into attack now. It's Coco who's made the burst forward here. Coco's cut back at Emre Belözoğlu. It must be number 2, and there it is. Inter Milan have qualified for the last 8. Emre's goal, Coco set it up for him. The Leverkusen defence ripped apart. Congratulations, Inter Milan.
Well, that's been the story. The defence at times for Leverkusen has let a lot to be desired, and they were cut to ribbons right there. Emery all alone in the box, and his first touch set it on the plate for him as Coco burst forward, had a good look up there. And once Emery saw the ball on the way, his concentration was right, first touch was magnificent, and the finish was made relatively easy as Inter Milan march on in fine style.
Emre scores his first Champions League goal for Inter Milan. Only his second in European club competition. And they're through now. They'll be in the draw for the last 8 on Friday. 1 or 2 anxious moments in the first half for Hector Cooper's men, but once they had the goal from Martins, they never really looked back. Yes, they missed a penalty, but denying Morfeo from the spot, but they're well worth the win here tonight. And Inter Milan were the participants in the quarterfinals, no doubt about that.
Well, it certainly was the icing on the cake for Inter. I think they made the game a touch harder than it possibly should have been. And in the end, they had enough, a lot more than Leverkusen. 2-0 is a very fine win today.
And how can they add to the total? It's Gulli, he substitutes, and that's offside.
No, not for me. Pasquale, he timed it for me. Nevertheless, it's all academic now.
Birovka. This is Schneider. Hamano. And one could only hope that Leverkusen will indeed come again, as the supporters have promised. They entertained us so much last season. 2-0 is the final score at St James's Park. So it's official now. Inter Milan will take their place in the draw for the last 8 of the Champions League. Barcelona scuppering Newcastle United's faint hopes. But danger here at the other end. Oliver Neville veering into position. Just couldn't keep the shot down, Eddie.
Well, when it's not going for you, it simply just doesn't run for you. Neville trying to hit a bouncing ball. Had it all wrong. How times change quickly. You look at some of the faces for Leverkusen, heroes last year. A magical run all the way to the final. And they couldn't even muster a single point in the second phase.
For Leverkusen now, it's back to the grind of a relegation battle. But for Inter Milan, it's all about the glitz and the glamour of the Champions League quarter-finals. They'll go into the Hats on Friday after a very professional performance tonight here in Germany. Martins certainly setting the heather on fire with his contribution, and a well-taken goal by the 18-year-old striker in the 36th minute. Emery added to the Inter total with that goal right at the death, and so Inter Milan are through to the last 8.
Well, what a performance from the young man Martins in the pressure cooker of the Bay Arena, knowing that Inter needed a win to go through. The 18-year-old produced some moments of magic to savour, and in the end, Inter were the winners.
Nice to see the two Nigerians having a chat, Martins and Pascal Ojigwe. Leverkusen finished the second group stage campaign without a single point, but Inter qualify for the quarter-finals of the Champions League.